I'd been driving for hours through rural Maine when the sun disappeared behind the line of black pines. The highway narrowed, the fog thickened, and the air took on that strange, heavy stillness you only feel when you're too far from anyone who could help you. The GPS said I had 30 more miles to go, but the road ahead looked like it hadn't been touched in decades. Cracked asphalt, weeds curling through the lines, and old telephone poles leaning like they might collapse with a single breath of wind. I was headed to Hollow Brook, a town so small you wouldn't find it on a modern map. People in Bangor only said one thing about it: don't drive there after dark. But I didn't have a choice. My cousin Elijah lived there. At least, he used to. And his last message to me was unmistakably desperate. They're back. I hear them every night. Please, come before they take someone else. He never explained who they were. Everything inside me screamed to turn around, but fear and love pulled me deeper into the woods. As I drove, something strange happened. The temperature dropped, the radio began crackling, and a faint sound, like children laughing, seemed to drift through the fog, echoing between the trees. I slowed my car. The laughter stopped. Then, footsteps, soft, light, running across the road. I hit the brakes so hard the tires screamed. Someone ran across the road ahead of me. Small, quick, a child-sized figure wearing pale clothes that fluttered unnaturally in the windless night. My heart slammed against my ribs. There were no houses for miles, no schools, no families, no reason for any child to be here. Then, just before the fog swallowed them, the figure turned, and I saw its eyes. Two empty, white voids staring directly into my headlights. Hollow Brook didn't look abandoned, not at first. Porch lights flickered behind dusty windows. Cars sat in driveways, mailboxes overflowed with old flyers, and old telephone poles leaning like they might collapse with a single breath of wind. But there were no people, not walking, not watching, not living. The silence was suffocating. My shoes crunched over brittle pine needles as I walked toward Elijah's cabin at the edge of the brook, the shallow river that gave the town its name. The closer I got, the more the air felt wrong, heavy, thick, almost electric. Then I heard humming. A child's voice, soft, rhythmic, and completely out of place in the dead Maine woods. I froze. Across the brook stood three small figures, children. But their skin looked gray in the moonlight, hair wet and matted, clothes shredded like they'd been pulled from the bottom of the water. All three faced away from me until one of them slowly tilted their head back, far beyond what was humanly possible, like their neck was made of soft clay. Their face was pale, swollen, lips blue, eyes white, empty, drowned. But they were standing. The child's mouth stretched unnaturally wide as it whispered something I couldn't understand. Then all three turned fully toward me at the exact same time and began walking. Not running, not limping, walking, slow, synchronized, deliberate, like they knew I couldn't move, like they knew I was frozen, like they'd been waiting. I stumbled backward and nearly fell when the cabin door burst open. "Elijah?" I whispered. It wasn't Elijah. The man in the doorway looked nothing like my cousin. His eyes were sunken, his hair was wild, and his hands trembled so violently he could barely hold the lantern he carried. But when he spoke, his voice broke in that familiar way I'd known since childhood. "You shouldn't have come here." He grabbed my arm and yanked me inside, slamming the door shut. The children stopped just outside the fence line, 3 pale faces staring in perfect stillness. No breath, no blinking, just watching. I finally found my voice. "Elijah, what happened to this place?" He didn't answer for at first. He just locked every window, pulled the curtains tight, and lit 2 more lanterns, refusing to let a single shadow touch the walls. When he finally looked at me, his eyes were wet. They drowned decades ago, all of them, but they didn't leave. The story spilled out of him in broken pieces. In 1979, a group of local children vanished by the brook. Their bodies were never found until the spring thaw, when the river gave them back. After the burials, people reported seeing them at night, standing on porches, knocking on windows, whispering through floorboards. Families moved away. The town emptied, but the children kept coming back. Elijah's voice cracked. "They choose someone every generation, someone to take them into the water with them." My stomach twisted. "And they chose you?" He shook his head slowly. "No." He pointed a shaking finger toward the window. "Tonight, they chose you."
I didn't want to believe Elijah. I didn't want to believe any of this. But as he spoke, I could feel the temperature inside the cabin dropping, like the air itself was listening. The lantern flames pulled sideways, quivering violently, as if pushed by hands I couldn't see. Then came the sound. Tap, tap, tap. My blood froze. It came from the front window. Elijah stiffened, his breath catching in his throat. The tapping grew louder, more insistent, like tiny fingernails tapping against the glass, begging to be let in. He shook his head slowly, silently mouthing, "Don't look." But I did. I turned toward the window, and there they were. 3 drowned children pressed against the glass, their faces pale, bloated, dripping. Water streamed from their hair in long black rivers. Their white, dead eyes were fixed directly at me. Their fingertips dragged across the window pane, leaving long streaks of murky water. Tap, tap, tap. Swipe. Then their mouths opened, not in screams, but in a wide, silent grin. A grin stretched too far, tearing the corners of their lips. Dark water poured from their mouths like they were still drowning. Elijah grabbed my arm. "Get away from the window, now!" But I couldn't move. I was glued there, staring back into their hollow, impossible faces. Something, some invisible force, felt like it was pulling me toward them. It was subtle at first, a numbness in my feet, then a pressure in my chest, a whisper brushing against my ear like a cold, soaked breath. "Come play with us." I stumbled backward, my legs suddenly giving out. Elijah caught me under the arms and dragged me into the center of the room where the lanterns burned brightest. "He can't step inside the light," he whispered. The tapping shifted. Now it was coming from every window, every wall, every corner. Small hands brushing, dragging, knocking, circling the cabin like wolves closing in. Elijah sank to his knees, gripping his hair. "It's worse than last time," he whispered. "They're stronger. They always get stronger when they pick someone." I stared at him, trembling. "Why me? I don't even live here." He didn't look up. "That doesn't matter." He lifted a shaking finger again, this time pointing toward the brook outside. "You heard their laughter on the road. They noticed the ones who listen." The lantern flames flickered, once, twice, then stretched tall and thin. All the tapping stopped. The silence was louder than the knocking. Elijah's voice dropped to a broken whisper. "They're right outside the door." And then, 3 soft knocks, perfectly spaced, perfectly rhythmic, like a child asking permission to come inside after playing in the rain. But this wasn't rain, and those weren't children. Elijah's face collapsed into his hands. "Don't answer, no matter what you hear, no matter what they say." My throat tightened. "Do they talk?" He didn't respond with words. He just stared at me, terrified, and that was enough. A faint splash echoed from outside, followed by the sloshing sound of small feet stepping onto the porch. Then came the pattering of dripping water, spreading under the door frame. The cabin floorboards vibrated gently, like something was pacing. A child's voice floated through the door, high, sweet, horribly calm. "We know you're in there." Another voice giggled softly beside it. Then a third voice whispered, "Come to the water." My entire body went cold. Elijah grabbed my wrist. His grip was so tight it hurt. He whispered, "They're trying to lure you outside. They can't cross the threshold unless you invite them. But you," his voice cracked, "you already heard them earlier. They think you belong to them now." The floorboards creaked near the window. Then another voice spoke, closer, clearer, dripping with wet breath. "We saw you on the road." I froze. "You almost hit us." My stomach twisted until I thought I would throw up. That wasn't possible. The figure I saw on the road wasn't alive. It didn't move like a person. Its head turned too far. Its eyes were... My thoughts stopped dead because something slid under the gap beneath the door. A tiny, waterlogged hand, pale, wrinkled, fingers spreading wide as if searching. The lanterns flickered wildly. Elijah lunged forward and kicked the hand away. His foot didn't connect with flesh. It passed through like kicking into ice-cold fog. But the hand recoiled, retreating back into the darkness with a soft, wet hiss. Then the children outside started laughing. Not joyful laughter, not playful. The sound was thin, sharp, like something imitating what it remembered laughter was supposed to be. The doorknob turned, slowly, deliberately, metal scraping metal as something tried to twist it from the outside. My heart pounded against my ribs, desperate to escape. I backed out until my shoulders hit the wall. Elijah grabbed the handle, forcing it still, his entire body shaking. He whispered, "They're testing you. They want to see how scared you are." The knob stopped turning. Silence. Then a soft whisper pressed right against the wood. "We're cold." A second voice layered beneath it. "Let us in." A third voice trembling. "Please, we're scared." I wanted to scream because the third voice sounded exactly like Elijah when he was a child. He heard it too. His face went pale with shock. He whispered, "They're using memories now. They never used to do that." The lantern flame shrank as if a heavy breath washed over them. Then the voices repeated in unison, harmonized, hollow, hungry. "Come to the water." The door shook violently, the windows rattled, the entire cabin groaned like its foundation was being pulled toward the brook. Elijah grabbed my shoulders hard enough to leave bruises. He whispered, "They're trying to separate us." I swallowed hard. "Why?" He stared into my eyes, tears spilling down his cheeks. "Because they only need one of us." And that was when I realized the knocking had started again. But this time, it was coming from behind us, inside the cabin.
For a moment, neither of us breathed. The knocking behind us wasn't loud, it wasn't violent, it was soft, a gentle, rhythmic tapping against the cabin wall. The kind of knock you might make if you didn't want to wake someone up. Elijah's eyes widened with a terror so pure it didn't look human anymore. His voice was barely a breath. "They're already inside." My skin crawled. "No, that's impossible. You said they can't cross the door, the windows, the threshold." His voice cracked. "They can't cross the door, the windows, the threshold. But this place, it's old. There are cracks in the walls, gaps in the floorboards. They've been here longer than this house." The knocking moved, slowly, deliberately. Knock, 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 across the wall behind the table, then along the floorboards beneath our feet, then up the opposite wall, like small hands dragging themselves around the room, circling us. I stepped closer to Elijah. "What do we do?" He didn't answer. Something brushed my ankle. I froze. Every muscle in my body locked. It felt like cold, soaked fingers curling around my leg. I jerked away instinctively, slamming into the side of the table. The lantern shook, sending shadows dancing across the room in chaotic patterns. Elijah grabbed the lantern and held it high. "Stay in the light," he whispered fiercely. "They can't touch you in the light." But the lantern was flickering, struggling, as though an invisible force breathed against it. A whisper rose from the floorboards, drifting up like steam. "We found you." My breath caught. Another whisper followed, closer, clearer, right next to my ear. "Come play in the water." I stumbled into Elijah, heart hammering, but the floorboards beneath us suddenly bulged upward, as though something pushed from underneath. The wood creaked, cracked, then split open with a sharp snap. A child's arm reached out through the gap. Not fresh, not alive. Skin pale and waterlogged, veins swollen like dark blue ropes, nails cracked and dirt-filled. The arm flailed wildly, groping for anything it could grasp. I screamed. Elijah yanked me backward, but the arm scraped against the floor, reaching, searching. Another hand joined it through the crack. Then another. Then a face. A drowned child's face pressed up between the boards, water spilling from its open mouth, eyes rolled white, hair floating as if underwater. It whispered, with a voice that sounded like something speaking through a flooded grave. "We heard you. You're ours now." Elijah grabbed the lantern and thrust it toward the crack.
When the light touched the face, it recoiled violently, collapsing into black mist that slithered back into the gaps in the wood. But we barely had time to breathe before, bang, something slammed into the front door, hard, then again, harder. The children outside were no longer knocking. They were pounding, trying to break their way in. The lantern flame thinned, shrinking, struggling. "They're weakening the light," he whispered. "They're smart. They're learning." Another slam shook the cabin so hard dusk rained from the beams. I grabbed Elijah's arm. "If the door breaks—" "It won't," he said, though his voice betrayed him. "It's old," I said, and there, before I could finish, the pounding stopped. Silence. Then a tiny voice, soft, sweet, impossibly close, whispered through the crack beneath the door. "We've been waiting for you since the river." My blood ran cold. I'd heard children laughing by the brook years ago when I visited as a kid, on the same land, the same water. Elijah's face went pale. "They marked you long before tonight. You were always going to come back." The lantern flickered one last time, then went out. And in the darkness, dozens of tiny wet footsteps began crossing the floor towards us.
The darkness swallowed us whole the moment the lantern died. It wasn't normal darkness. It felt thick, like something alive, like a cold, wet cloth pressed over my entire face, trying to suffocate me. Every breath tasted like river water, metallic, dirty, rotten. Elijah clutched my wrist with both hands. "Don't move," he whispered, but his voice trembled so much I barely recognized it. Then came the sounds. Tiny footsteps. Not running. Walking. Slow. Purposeful. Surrounding us. Squish. 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 Like miniature feet stepping on soaked earth. One of them giggled. Soft, airy, bubbling, like a child laughing underwater. Another exhaled a long, shaky breath right beside my ear. I fought the urge to scream. Then a whisper, small, fragile, full of quiet longing, rose from the dark floor around us. "We know you. We remember you." My heartbeat stopped. Remember me? Elijah squeezed my arm so tightly my fingers went numb. "Don't answer them," he whispered. "If you speak, they get closer." Another whisper drifted through the dark, this time from behind my left shoulder. "You fell in the brook once. Do you remember?" My stomach dropped. I did. A long time ago, when I was maybe 7. Elijah pulled me out. The current had nearly taken me. But how could they know that? A cold hand brushed my ankle. I jerked violently, almost falling. Elijah pulled me upright, but more hands reached now. Dozens of them, some grasping weakly, others curling eagerly around my pant leg. Then the whispering children began speaking in unison, their voices layered like a broken choir. "You heard us, even back then. You listened. That's why you came back." The words sank into me like ice. The children outside slammed the door again, this time hard enough to crack the wooden frame. The cabin shook, dust raining from the rafters. Elijah dragged me backward, inch by inch, toward the only remaining light, a faint glow leaking through the open bathroom door at the back of the cabin. "Move!" he hissed. "They haven't reached that room yet." But as we stumbled toward it, a small figure stepped into the doorway. A child, A little boy, dripping wet, neck tilted at a sharp, broken angle, eyes completely white, his skin swollen, blue, split in places where the river had torn it open. He lifted one arm, slowly, like he was underwater, and pointed directly at me. "You belong with us." Elijah shoved me sideways into the kitchen, but the boy's face never shifted. His neck cracked sharply as he followed our movement, head rotating farther than any human neck should. Then more children emerged behind him. 5, 7, more, filling the hallways, filling the cabin, filling every shadow. Their wet feet slapped quietly on the wooden floor. Slap, slap, slap. Then they spoke again, this time in one perfect, horrifying harmony. "Come to the water." The same words Elijah had warned me about. The same words the drowned children whispered to every chosen person before dragging them into Hollow Brook. We backed into the kitchen. The pipes rattled, the pipes groaned. A roar echoed through the walls like rushing water forcing its way upward. Elijah's voice broke. "Get to the back door, now!" But when I turned, the back door was already open. And beyond it was the brook, murky, black, flowing much faster than it should at night. And standing in the shallow water, knee-deep, were dozens of small, pale figures, waiting, silent, still, their faces lifted toward us, and the brook whispered with their voices, "We've been waiting since the day you fell in." The night air outside felt colder than anything inside the cabin. Sharp, heavy, almost metallic, like every breath had to push through ice before entering my lungs. The brook murmured softly in the dark, but the sound wasn't natural. It wasn't flowing water. It was voices, layered, distant, echoing like whispers caught inside a deep, hollow throat. Elijah pulled me back from the doorway, gripping my jacket with both hands. "Don't step outside," he hissed. "They're strongest near the water. That's where they died. That's where they can take you." I stared at the shoreline, at the dozens of drowned children standing ankle-deep in the brook. Some were boys, some girls, some so small they barely reached the water's edge. Their clothes hung heavy and dark with river muck. Their limbs were loose, swaying gently with the current, but their heads, all of them, turned slowly toward me, like marionettes pulled by the same invisible string. And then they smiled. A wide, trembling, impossibly stretched smile, like their faces remembered the shape of joy but had forgotten what skin was supposed to do. My knees buckled. Elijah grabbed me by the shoulders. "Stay with me. Look at me, not them." But the children didn't stop. One of them stepped forward. A girl, maybe 8 years old, hair hanging in soaked ropes over her face. She waded closer, her body moving with a strange buoyancy, as if she were still underwater. She lifted her face. Her eyes were pure white. Her mouth hung open, releasing a long stream of dark brook water that splashed onto the ground and seeped toward my shoes like a living shadow. She whispered, "We remember you. You almost joined us." My throat closed. Elijah shook his head violently. "Don't listen. They twist memories. They mimic voices. They know exactly what to say." But the girl took another step. The water followed her like a leash. "You heard us back then. When you fell in, you listened. You listened before anyone else." I stumbled backward. "Elijah, make it stop!" But he didn't answer. He was staring at the children with a kind of horror I'd never seen in any human face. His lips were trembling, eyes wide and unfocused. "Elijah," I whispered. He didn't turn. Then I noticed something horrifying. His breath wasn't showing. In the freezing night, my own breath poured out in thick clouds. But Elijah's? Nothing. He slowly lifted a shaking hand and touched his chest, like he was waiting for a heartbeat that never came. "Elijah," I repeated, louder. "What happening to you?" His voice cracked like splintered wood. They never let me leave." The brook surged, rushing higher against the banks. More children emerged, their movements stilted and unnatural, like they were walking through invisible syrup. Elijah backward toward the water, one slow step, then another, his eyes dazed, his expression hollow. "Elijah, stop!" I grabbed him, but his body felt lighter, thinner, colder. He whispered, "I didn't escape that night. I only delayed it." The children at the water's edge lifted their arms toward him, tiny pale hands beckoning. "Come back, Elijah. We saved you a place." He turned to me, tears mixing with the river water dripping down his face, water I hadn't noticed before. His final words shattered me. "They didn't choose you tonight." The children whispered, "We chose him." And without resistance, Elijah stepped into the brook. The water swallowed him up to his shoulders in a single breath. The children closed around him. The moonlight flickered, and then he was gone. No splash, no struggle, no scream, just gone. The children slowly turned back toward me, all of them, and the brook whispered like 100 voices speaking as one. "Your turn is coming." For a moment, there was nothing. No sound, no wind, no breath, just the moonlight trembling over the surface of Hollow Brook, as if the water itself were shivering after what it had just taken. The children stood motionless, heads bowed, their pale skin reflecting the cold light like carved stone. The current rippled softly around their ankles, pulling at their torn clothes, their matted hair, their limp fingers. Elijah was gone, but the ripples didn't settle. Something beneath the water moved, not drifting leaves, not the current. Something with weight, with shape, with memory. The children lifted their faces in eerie synchronicity, white eyes glowing faintly as they stared at the center of the brook. The water bulged upward, swelling, as though something was rising from the depths. I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over a stump, my lungs burning as the cold air sliced down my throat. My entire body felt like it had been dropped into ice. I wanted to run. Every instinct screamed at me to run. But my legs wouldn't move, because the water opened. Not parted, opened, like a mouth inhaling its first breath after waiting too long. And from that black, swirling depth, Elijah returned. His body surfaced slowly, gently, as if lifted by unseen hands. His clothes clung to him like a second skin, soaked through and torn. His hair floated in limp strands, drifting around his face, and his eyes. God, his eyes were no longer brown. They were white, empty, dead. He stood in the water, perfectly still, facing the children. Then his head snapped toward me in an unnatural jerk, cracking loudly in the silent night. His neck hung at a strange, broken angle. His mouth opened and river water poured out. Not a little, but a stream, gushing down his clothes and splashing into the brook below. I staggered backward, choking on my own breath. "Elijah, please," I whispered, though I already knew. This was not Elijah anymore. This was what the brook kept. This was what it returned. The children moved toward him, surrounding him, welcoming him like one of their own. Small hands reached up, brushing against his arms, his chest, his face. He didn't react, didn't blink, didn't breathe. He just stood there, water spilling from his mouth like a broken fountain. Then all the children turned their heads toward me, every single one, with a creaking, fluid motion, like their necks were made of wet rope. Their voices rose together, soft and harmonious, like a lullaby sung in a flooded room. "He's with us now." I shook my head. "No, no!" My voice cracked. "You took him! You took—" The brook surged, slapping against the banks. The lullaby grew louder. He was always ours. Elijah stepped forward. His movements were slow, swaying, as if pulled by the current from beneath. Each step made a faint sucking sound as his feet left the mud. His arms